What's up, guys? This is Cash Shake, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Baseball United, the first professional baseball league in the history of the Middle East and South Asia. And you're watching the Legends on Deck podcast with my boys, Brian Koss and David Condi.
I have 4 children. One's in college. My wife, my daughter has Down syndrome. She had heart surgery a couple months ago, and my wife's homeschooling. So I think So the answer to that is just a huge support system, with my wife backing me, with my mom helping out, with my coaches. It's time management, it's self-discipline, it's rest, it's trying to get rest, and your diet. Tapping in, having a safe place that you can kind of recenter yourself. Just a place where you can calm down, whether it's in a car drive back home, or just taking a couple hours out of the weekend to kind of just meditate or do what you have to do. Passion drives it.
Welcome to episode 82 of the Legends on Deck podcast. As you see, I'm David Condi. And if you notice, Brian Koss is not here today. Brian had some other things going on. So I pulled in one of our top writers on the site, Aaron Reale. Aaron is a huge Yankees fan, which funny thing is him and I kind of go head to head at times with me Mets and him Yankees, and trying to figure out which ones are the better teams. And I kind of got it over on him a little bit when Soto ran away from the Yankees and joined the mighty Mets. So, I know there was a little bit of craziness going on there, but like I said, check out Aaron's writing. I mean, it's been superb on the site. He's been with us for a few years, and everything that he shares is just really insight, and we love having him. So I wanted to welcome him wanted him to be a part of this and kind of get his second feel. We did a group podcast one time, but kind of one where he can kind of interview someone. So, Aaron, thank you for being on the show with us.
No problem. Just a couple quick corrections. It's Reale, number one.
Oh, Reale. See, I knew that, but I'm like Brian. I can't say the names correctly.
And number 2, if you look at Soto's pictures from when he signed with the Mets, he didn't run anywhere.
Yeah. That's all right. We're going to get deeper and deeper as the season goes between the both of us.
Absolutely.
On our previous shows, we've had on coaches that either have coached high school baseball, have coached independent baseball, have coached, in the college level, and a travel baseball. So today, our special guest is coaching on, I believe, every single one of those level of teams currently, or has within his resume. So David Aceron. Aceron. See, I knew I was gonna mess it up. I talked about Brian, and he just got me on that one. See, well, we want to welcome you to the show, and we're very excited about having you here and kind of sharing your journey in the game.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me, and it's once again, it's an honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. So the first question, we put this out to all our guests, is we want to go back in time. We want to know where the game of baseball became the love of your life. Where did it start? Who would have been someone that introduced you to the game? Who would have been someone that mentored you? And then just kind of walk us through your journey up to where you're at right now.
Okay. I started playing baseball at 3 years old. My mom signed me up to her YMCA, just basic baseball, this first base, second base, whatnot. My mom was a single mom growing up, and my grandparents They were the first ones here in America from the Philippines. So my grandfather was a boxer, retired Navy guy. So his whole philosophy towards everything was fighting, boxing, little simple stuff in the world. And through the ranks, I just, 3 years old, went up the spectrum playing YMCA, playing different little leagues. My mom kept me heavily active. I was an only child growing up. So every season I was playing a sport, whether it was basketball, football, you name it. And so I had this uncle. Well, I have many uncles in my life, and they're all wrestlers, they're all fighters, and they helped a lot in raising me too. But I had this one uncle on my biological father's side that he would come into town and in his limo and in his jacket, his professional jacket, and I was like, and he'd come up and he'd come and see me, and I was always like, who is this guy? And later on, as I got older, I realized he was Eric Anthony, and so he would stop by, give me signed balls like Houston Astros. He came up in 1988 with the Astros, had all those signed balls with Ken Kennedy, Steve Finley, which was my favorite baseball player, Craig Biggio, you name it. And so my biological father, he wasn't as active in my life or, in my younger years. And so I think in my mind, the game of baseball was I was learning my lessons on the field, thinking that was like my father. So it was very spiritual to me, the game, like not giving up, having thick skin, keep persevering. And so I love that about the game. I loved how hard it was. I mean, being a high school football player, that was easy for me. Being a high school basketball player, that was easy for me. But baseball was so hard for me. And I love that. I love the challenge from that game. I played high school, went to one JUCO. They were going to redshirt me. Went to another JUCO. They were like, "Hey, we're going to redshirt you." I was going to give up on the game. My uncle Eric, he said, "Hey, I want you to go to this tryout camp." So I drove up about 2 hours up in LA. There was a guy by the name of Chris Canizaro's there, and I was over there. I tried out. There was like two American baseball players there. The rest were from like Canada, Japan. I didn't know what type of tryout camp it was or whatever. So I went there. Chris Canizero sat me down in the dugout and said, "How come you're not playing college ball?" And I go, "Oh, well, they decided to redshirt me." And he goes, "Yeah, politics." He's like, "Yeah, politics, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, I want to sign you to the scout team, and I want you to go ahead and play." And I did that. I played that for a while. There was a lot of parties, a lot of PEDs involved, a lot of, all that stuff. And I said, I don't think I want to do this. And so I joined the service. I joined the United States Army, served my country for 10 years, spent 4.5 in combat, did the whole Iraq, Afghanistan thing. I was a combat engineer when I first joined. So I did a lot of route clearance stuff. And then I later reclassed to infantry. And so after I did that, after I toured, I worked for the government for a bit. I was an instructor, traveled around the world, did a lot of things. And then I went to a party. It was like a birthday party. And my best friend's wife, I considered her like my sister. It was her birthday party. And this guy or her friend was like, "Hey, we're looking for a coach." And I just got back from Afghanistan. They're like, "Hey, we're looking for a softball coach, high school softball coach." And I was like, "I'll do it." And everybody was laughing on the table. There was about 20 people that were laughing. They're like, "What do you know about softball? You're a baseball guy." I was like, "I always wanted to get into coaching. I always wanted to get into coaching." And so, yeah. And so that's what led me into, the high school level and above. And we can get into that more. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk.
No. This is about you, not about us.
Oh, okay.
But I can relate to the baseball thing and being on something that true to the heart. When I was growing up, I had my mom and dad separated, and what brought excitement to me was when my mother just taking me to baseball. So the Mets were the horrible team in the early '80s. I didn't care. I was at a baseball field. So now every time I walk into the baseball field, I feel this peace, like this is my home. This is where I belong, and I never want to leave. I don't ever want to leave the field.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. There's just something special, something special about that game. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coach, I gotta ask. If I'm not mistaken, you're coaching travel, independent, college, and high school
Correct.
all simultaneously, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so given what you just told us that you grew up playing sports and you were in the military, you
Yeah.
seem to be a pretty disciplined guy, but I have to ask, how do you find the time to do all this and to do it properly, to give them all the attention that they actually need? Because it's not easy to even imagine doing if you're
Yeah. So I mean, on top of that, I have 4 children. One's in college. My wife, or my daughter has Down syndrome. She had heart surgery a couple months ago, and my wife's homeschooling. So I
Oh,
think that, yeah. So the answer to that is just a huge support system, with my wife backing me, with my mom helping out, with my coaches. Um, it's time management, it's self-discipline, it's rest, it's trying to get rest, and your diet, tapping in, having a safe place that you can kind of recenter yourself. Just a place where you can calm down, whether it's in a car drive back home, or just taking a couple hours out of the weekend to kind of just meditate or do what you have to do. But yeah, passion drives it. Knowing every single one of my players' names, knowing their personal story, um, understanding what my purpose here on this life is to inspire, influence, and just leave a mark, a legacy on this planet that I can kind of pour life into these athletes. I think that's what drives me. It drives me to get up and kind of do what I have to do to grind through, actually. So yeah, to answer that question. Yeah.
okay. So you heard me gasp when you mentioned your wife was homeschooling because I grew up a homeschooler. One of our other writers, Jeremy, he's also grown up a homeschooler, so I can really appreciate that too. They need a lot of support too. So the fact that she's able to support you while also doing that shows her character, your character. It's wonderful.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for those kind words.
So thinking about the schedule, okay,
Mhm.
so let's just say you're doing the travel bowl we know is on the weekends, right? But then you have the club team.
Yeah.
So give us your January to December. Where are you at and what are you doing?
Right. Absolutely. So in the morning, I used to be a truck driver before. So in the morning, I get in my truck, 4 o'clock, 3:30, whatever, drive forever, drop off loads, get off, get changed, you know, and then I would start my coaching day. But now I'm in the classroom as a paraeducator. So I help out the kids that have IEPs, kids that have, 504 plans. And so I'm in the classroom with them, which is an easier transition for me to go from the classroom to the high school. So I'm monitoring my baseball guys through that. And then what I'll do is, so like Monday, I have practice. We start at 3:30. We end about 5:30. I try to like rush home, see the kids for a bit, eat a little bit, and then I'm back at the field at like 6 o'clock, 6:30. Monday is San Diego State. So I'm there at 6:30. We get off, get there at 6:30, start practice, get off at 8:30, come home, reset, do it again. Tuesday, we stagger it. So Tuesday, same high school plan. Right after that, I got travel ball. So I got travel ball at the training center Tuesdays hitting. I then mirrored with my other additional teams will meet at that training center. So I'm like with my assistant coaches, kind of like going around, like, hey man, you're casting, or hey, you got to keep the turn tight, or just doing biomechanic corrections, mental corrections, talking to them, imposing life into them. Wednesday, same high school schedule, going to San Diego State. So, and this whole time, this whole week, I'm doing contracts. I'm trying to sign guys to Indy ball, having conversations during breaks. Like right now, I have 3 more contracts left, and then I'm done with my roster. And then for what is it? Thursday, we got fielding with travel ball after the high school practice. And then Friday is it's kind of like a mixture. I can kind of like, if I have a Friday Night Lights game for travel ball, or if I have nothing going on with high school, I'll kind of like go further with high school. And then Saturday, that's when it all begins. But the high school has my college schedule with the club team and the high school, and the travel ball is my organization. So they know I'm going to pro ball. I'm leaving in May. So I head out 10 hours north. And then we're all up and down the coast, doing our pro ball thing for about 3.5 months. Luckily, I'm married to a tuna fisherman's daughter, so she's Sicilian and Portuguese, beautiful. Well, man, yeah. So she understands the whole, dad being away, husband being away type thing for a couple months, trying to make some money and influence and then come back home. So
So
yeah.
do you ever have like a high school game and then a club game on the same day, or do they schedule it where you don't have that?
Well, so that's one thing that I hired guys to be the schedule managers. So I brought them on board. I'm like, your whole task is speaking with the umpires, speaking with the parents, and dealing with all my administrative stuff. So here's my schedule. I need you to stagger it. So on each one of my programs, I have a guy like that where I'm like, hey, I need you to do this. And then I have amazing assistant coaches. They're always like, hey man, I got it. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I got it. So I love that. So
And then I want to delve a little bit into the San Diego State team. So do they have their own baseball team, and then this is a club team, right?
correct, correct.
So
Yeah. So some
I've
people,
heard of
yeah.
club teams that don't have coaches, that they just kind of play, but
Yep.
this is different. Like you guys actually have a whole staff there.
Yeah. Well, so I got selected. I was the first one selected in San Diego State history to be the club coach. They had several, candidates, whatever, but like they've been going hard for like, I want to say the team, I think they won, and I think it was 18 or 17 or something like that. They won like the entire thing. But last year they decided to hire a guy. I didn't know anything about it. I knew nothing about club, but it is a sleeper position. So for any coaches that are interested or people that want to get into that level of college and stuff like that, they pay. It's full benefits. You're part of the staff. They pay for travel. They pay for hotels. I mean, you're representing for the college. A lot of these guys are prior JUCO guys or D1 guys that got lost in the transfer portal, or guys that got recruited to go to the college and they just needed 1 year to develop. So it is an interesting position, San Diego State. We just got back from GCU. They're ranked like 2 in the nation. We got swept. And,
Is
so
GCU also a club team?
yeah, they have 7 club teams.
Wow.
Yeah. So they got 4 club teams in the lower half that play each other. Then they have a D3, a D2, and a D1. So there's all different divisions in club. It's a
Wow.
whole organization in the nation. It's pretty amazing.
So,
So
so for the uninitiated, what exactly is a club team? Like, so I'm assuming you're not coaching the same type of club as, say, Vanderbilt, which is down the road from me. Like, they're more of a college baseball team. Is that different than a club team, or is that
right.
the same?
Yeah, so the club student, they're all students in SDSU. A lot of them have competed in college already. It's more like there's a whole entire league. So they break it down in divisions, break it down on competition level, break it down with what their NCAA like division team is too. So like UCLA has one, USC has one, Fullerton. Those are all guys like we play, ASU, U of A. Um, so we play against each other, and there's actually a playoff system. There's actually a World Series, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, like some club guys get brought up to the NCAA team, which is I think if I was running a Division I team, NCAA team, that I would use it as like a feeder program, which some of the colleges
Exactly.
have done it, but there's a lot of colleges that don't. They're just like, we don't need any of those guys. But you got to look at the record, and you got to look at, yeah, if you have students there that are meeting the GPA criteria that are, that can get on the team. I see, for some guys, I would say I would use that as an advantage.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
So yeah, yeah, Ryan.
I was just saying, like, if walk-ons are as prevalent as they are in history, why shouldn't a club team be?
exactly. No, exactly. I mean, we cut, I think about within the last 2 years, we cut about 100 kids
Wow.
from the club team, like to get all together. So for me, I'm like, why don't we make a D2?
Hmm.
How come we don't make a D3? Like this is entire, like, I mean, they pay dues. They have to meet the GPA. They have to be students there. There's talent there. I mean, take advantage. If I was in charge, like I said, I would say, hey, use it as a minor league system. That's what I would do. I mean,
So basically, I want to go to San Diego State, right? To the school, right? That's San Diego. I want to go to
yeah,
the school, and I play baseball, but I didn't get draft. I didn't get a scholarship. I didn't make the main team. Then I can go try out for the club team, and now still get almost the same accolades or the same type of playoffs and playing
yeah,
other schools that maybe I would play on the other. So almost the same thing, but on the lower level,
yes.
and still get. And then have any of those guys that you've known ever got drafted out of that, or
There's
they're
a
actually
there's two guys in the last 2 years that are professional baseball players. One's playing in Italy, And then there's another guy, I don't know where he's playing, but they were alumni and they were telling me their stories. They played Indy ball and they got picked up, played in Italy as a, left-handed pitcher. And I was like, that's great, man. That's awesome. Actually, I signed a guy this year. He was a club player of mine last season, and I signed him to a professional contract. So he's going to be playing professional baseball this season. He's stoked. He's super excited about it.
And I want to say one thing for people who might be following and watching and understanding. Pro ball does not only mean MLB.
Right.
Pro ball does not only mean the affiliates. If you play independent baseball and you get paid, it's pro ball. If you go play in Baseball United in Dubai, you get paid, it's pro ball. Pro ball is that you're getting paid to now play the game you love. Granted, everyone wants to make the major leagues, but you know what? There's some good competition out there in these independent leagues as well. And going to Italy and different countries where you can go out there and be a professional in another country as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I wish I had a club team like that when I was going to high school. No. A long time ago.
Right.
We kind of touched on the coaching staff, which is amazing. The story is amazing. I mean, all the stuff that you're doing. I mean, I don't know if I could fit that in my schedule. I think I would be get divorced, but kind of share with us your best memories as a coach. You're at the different levels.
Yeah.
You probably got kids that you've seen and guys that you've seen and touched on, and you said you're trying to make a difference in their lives. Kind of give us some of the best memories of your time there.
Okay. Championships are always good. I've been involved in a lot of championships, a lot of wins, CIF wins, whatever, whether it's at the factory, at Rancho Bernardo High School, or seen it at Poway, just the winning culture at Poway, or, Francis Parker, these type of schools in San Diego High. We won back in 2015. I was there, Orange Glen. Those are all great memories. But I think the greatest memories for me would be, my players that are, come from a background that isn't the best, losing parents, and stuff like that, and just seeing them persevere through that. There's a player right now in the Cardinals organization. He got brought up in the big leagues last year. His name's Thomas Sajaci. Um, his mom was an amazing mother. She was a great fan of the game. She was right there on the fence, always asking me how I was doing. She was a motivational speaker, and she gave me a book. I still have the book. And, Thomas is just this amazing kid, and he lost his mom going into his senior year in high school.
Wow.
And, and so to see him being successful, just seeing Thomas Sajaci being successful, Calvin Mitchell, his story being successful, Nick Allen, when I saw him as a freshman and me telling the coaches, this kid's going to be something special. And they're like, that little guy? And I'm like, yeah, like those type of guys, seeing those guys kind of make it and get through the ranks, and for them to, like Calvin or even Thomas, like they text me, hey, happy Father's Day, coach, or happy birthday, coach. Like for me, that's the most memorable part of my game. I mean, like we have kids in the system right now. I mean, a kid, what was it, last week, his grandfather died in front of him, and his father's in prison, so that was his dad. So, having to hold him and him cry on my shoulder, and then me trying to get him to the school counselor or get him to the therapist, and the therapist, straight up telling me, like, he doesn't want to talk to us, he just wants to talk to you. Like that's what makes my job. That's where I know that this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we have another kid, just another kid, I'm tracking him down in class because I heard his personal story from his case manager. Like his auntie and uncle got murdered and they were his caregivers. And so now he's living in a 1-bedroom studio with like 5 siblings, with an auntie that took him in. And they said all he shows up for is PE. And they said he's the strongest freshman. So I seeked him out. I went up to him. Hey, how you doing? I'm the baseball coach. He had a big old smile on his face. He's like, I know who you are. I was like, I want you to come play for me. I want to mentor you. Let me be your mentor. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I was like, but we got to get your grades up. I'm going to do this little 1-year contract or 1 time a year contract that allows you to play this season, even though you're ineligible, but we got to work on your grades. We got to work on that. Like those are the kids I seek out for, I mean, That's what makes coach. That's why we coach. That's why we should coach. That's why we should be mentors in the game, this beautiful game of baseball. And unfortunately, on the other aspect of that, we can get into that. There's a lot of guys that should be coaching, that should not be coaches on every level, that I've seen. And I just, so anyways.
No, that's perfect. You actually, it's funny. I was having a conversation with someone recently, the same thing you just shared. A coach is a mentor. A coach is just not someone that leads a team to victory. You have kids, like you said, that are gonna be going through things in life, and how do you truly help them? You don't help them by knocking them even further down and saying, "Hey, I can't help you because you're not helping yourself." No, hey, you got talent. What can we do to help you get through what you're going through, and then play the game?
Mhm.
So talking to them, and kids will maybe not be a professional baseball player, but down the road they may do something in life that's great just because of the time you spent with them, and said, hey, you changed his life. You changed his life from going one way, and then the sport brought him back in the center, and then you were able to now work everything else around him because of that. So when you just said that, I was just like, man, it's like I truly believe in that. And you're right. Not everyone is a coach, because it's not just about the winning. I coach to win, but I coach to win bigger things.
Mhm.
Because the
Mhm.
trophy is just a trophy. But if I can get the kids to learn something and progress, and then in life make a difference for themselves and what they want, that's a coach. That's
Yeah.
the biggest victory you can have.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, my pet peeve, all my assistant coaches, they know this. I mentioned it today too, because one of the parents, we had fence day today in Little League. So my high school team went out there and they helped out, put up the fences for Little League just to
Oh
show
yeah.
community service. And I wanted them to go out there and show their presence and everything. And so this parent was talking to me and I was like, one thing that I don't like are home plate meetings.
Oh yeah.
They go, real. I was like, I hate home plate meetings. I was like, because whenever I get the home plate, like, hey, Ace, how's it coaching? Bro, how's it coaching this? And I was like, hey man, just give me the lineup. Tell me the lines, whatever. Let's get going. Like I'm here to compete. I'm not here to play nice and shake your hand. Like I have to come here because I can't argue a call if I don't come up to home plate. So that's the reason why. That's the reason why I come up here.
I got you. I got it. It's cool.
I got a question because you mentioned the name previous, but I also want to say that what you were saying really stuck with me too. My best friend coached basketball for a Christian school,
Oh,
and
okay.
he said that his job was not only to teach them how to play the game and whatnot, but to try and make them men. And it sounds
Yeah.
like that's kind of
Oh,
your
yeah.
ideology there. But you mentioned a few names, and one of them that stuck out to me was Nick Allen.
Yeah.
Is that the Oakland Athletic, Nick Allen?
Yeah. He got traded. I think where is he with now? I think he's with a different team right now. Yeah.
Oh, so you coached him?
So I coached against him. So his
Ah,
freshman year, I coached at the high school. And I've seen him around. I know his dad coached my son, but his freshman year, we were playing again. He went 5 for 5 that game.
Hmm.
And the center fielder, his freshman year, if you look it up online, he went to USC and everyone was hung up on the center fielder. Everyone was like, this kid is going to be a beast. And I looked at my coaches. We were at San Diego High, 2015. And I said, this little guy right here is going to be something. They're like, that little guy? And I'm like, that little guy is going to be something big. He's going to be, I mean, he's throwing like 94 across the diamond his freshman year. Like, yeah, he's a beast.
he's fast too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched him play against the Yankees, and I was just like, this guy is so annoying. I can't hate on him, But that's really
My son,
cool.
my son's a huge Yankee guy. My son, huge Yankee. I'm oldest son. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. Listen, I'm a huge baseball fan, so that's what matters most.
Right.
Listen,
Uh,
my dad and my stepdad are both Yankee. My brother's Yankee. I'm the only one who met one, and I won't switch. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm a true fan. I don't switch.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Aaron, you want to share on the next question?
Sure. I mean, you shared with us that your team was going to be featured in a local news story. I was wondering if you could tell us about that, and what makes your team? Well, first of all, which team is it? But secondly, what makes this team special? What gives them the edge over the other teams in the area?
Right. So my high school team, we just had a retirement ceremony for Jock Jones. We were on the news for that, just for retiring his number. Jock Jones did a lot in the community. Obviously, he was a Minnesota Twin and, as hitting coach for the Nationals, whatnot. But then when the reporter that was there found out my story, kind of like how you guys know it's like, they're like, wait a minute, you're coaching. And he's like, no, you're joking. And I was like, no, he's like, I want to come back to the high school and I want to do a story on you. I was like, okay. So on the 21st, I think Fox News and KUSI is going to be there and they're going to be doing a story. I think it's supposed to air on the 22nd. But he wants to just get to know me. And same thing. He's just like, I looked up your stuff. He's like, you're military, you did this, you did that. That's wild, man. And I was like, well, just 42 years old, just try to live life and try to share it, try to share it with everyone I can. So
So what's the makeup of your team? Like where the kids come from?
urban youth.
Also.
Yeah. So the high school's urban youth. It's in the area that I grew up in, Southeast San Diego. We have a good mixture, culturally a good mixture. And there's not a lot of, if you look at all the high school teams, whether it's San Diego or whether it's in the nation, I mean, I've traveled to a lot of places. There's not a lot of black athletes, not a lot of black baseball players. And that's another thing that the reporter wanted to touch up. He's like, he goes, you're a head, coach, you're black. And he's like, you got, 6 kids in the program, that are black and 4 of them are on varsity. And so he's like, it's kind of different, and I was like, well, that's good, and we're trying to, it's not like the 90s, I'll tell you that much. In the 90s, we saw, the Dawsons, we saw all, everyone. I mean, and so it's just a lot different now. I mean, we know that as baseball guys, the Kenny Loftons, we don't.
No, you don't see that nowadays. So let me ask you a question. How were you able to instill the game in them? Because we know, listen, the black youth, it's football. You probably can go pro right away, right after high school.
Right.
There's no levels, hardly. Maybe a small level, but not like baseball, basketball. You got the G League, and then you get drafted if it go right to pro, if that's the case. But baseball, one is very expensive.
Yes.
I'm not saying that inner city kids can't afford it, but if you look at the sports, what's the cheaper way to go? And then it's just so many levels. There's no really way to say, man, I want to be a baseball player and I want to spend the next 10 years of my life in the minor leagues, not knowing I'm going to get there and then get paid nothing. I mean, what is driving these kids to really want to play baseball and take it on and be good at it?
Yeah, it's interesting. So 2 of my players, they've only been playing baseball for 2 years, and they're really good. Like they're like super good. One of my kids, the starting catcher I have, he's like ranked in PG. It's like top catcher in the nation. He's actually the starting quarterback. He's a freshman at San Diego High, and my whole thing. And then we got the shortstop. His dad, he's a bloodline, so his dad played. He was a pitcher, in pro ball. His older brother's playing, I think, in Mississippi or whatnot. He's a pitcher, and I was really blessed to take this program over. My best friend was there for about 20 years on the coaching staff. He called me up and said, "Hey, Ace, I need you to take this program over." And I said, "I don't have time. I'm not going to do it." I said, "I'm not going to do it." And he convinced me. And so I took it over and I saw the potential. These kids are from the same area I grew up in. Same type of stories, single parent household. Some of these kids, like I have this one kid right now. It's an incredible story. But, his father was part of the cartel, got arrested. It was unfortunate what happened to just decisions from the parenting side. And so his grandfather took him over. His grandfather took guardianship of him. This kid, his freshman year, had a brain aneurysm on the mound, had to get cut open in his head. And now he just got a full ride scholarship to Division II college his senior year.
Wow.
And, you can see on our Instagram, it's Cavers Baseball 1 on Instagram. You could see the kid I'm talking about. I don't really, but those stories like that are just like, I look at these kids, they got a chip on their shoulder. They're ready to grind. They're not entitled. I mean, the high school's been around since 1882. So it's the fourth oldest school in the state of California. It's the oldest school, still on its original foundation. My family went there. My grandfather, after the Navy, got his high school diploma there. My uncles, they won state twice there in wrestling. My mom was the mascot there. She was the K-Bell and played tennis and ran track there. So a lot of history at San Diego High School. San Diego High School is like, Yeah, it's something special at that school. It really is. When I coached there, in 2015, we had roughly over 3,000 something students. Now we only have 1,200 students.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of, just cuts, a lot of kids are, just, I mean, the attendance, the grades, I mean, I don't know, just things have to change.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And do
So,
you see that continuing with the and I'm not just picking on
yeah.
saying black kids, but I'm just saying because of that's something that's in my heart too. I want to see more of that. I miss the days of back in the day when you had the Griffeys and
Yeah.
Reggie Jacksons and
Yeah.
Loftons and all these guys coming in. They were great ball players.
Right.
Do you see a trend like that coming from the underclassmen coming to want to play the game at the school? Do you?
Now, well, now that, what's funny is, I think they had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and obviously a lot of the urban youth and a lot of the cities, they're being gentrified, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And in the meeting, my assistant coach told me, he said they said that there was only one black baseball player in the entire little league in that
Wow.
area. And so, but I think now that people know that I'm the head coach there, I think a lot of people are going to try to transfer in.
Yeah.
Um, and one thing about me, it's like we understand that, but it's like everyone for me is on a, you know what I mean? It's a level
Yeah,
playing
of
field. It doesn't,
course.
yeah, it doesn't matter. If you can ball, you can ball. If you can't ball, then, sorry, you're gonna sit on the bench, get
Yeah,
better,
it doesn't matter what race you are, but
Yeah,
I like to see everyone involved. I like to see
exactly.
everybody
Yeah.
get that opportunity. And
Yep.
when you see more kids, and listen, it's a sport, so the
Yeah.
more kids that can get involved in it, the better for them.
Yeah.
Like we talked
Yeah.
about earlier, it's just preparing them for life and
Yeah.
life skills and getting them, scholarships maybe to a college or to
Exactly.
something that they didn't think they could do before. Now they have the opportunity to dream big.
Yeah, yeah, and that's and
Possibly.
that, yeah, and that's why I'm trying to show my presence. And like I've asked questions like today. I was like, hey, does anybody have any admin guys like in the middle schools? Does anybody have in the elementary schools? Like, I want to go out and I want to like show my presence, show my coaching staff's presence. Say, hey, listen, don't try to transfer out of district and go to a different high school because stay within this high school. I mean, back I think it was 2015 or 16, they were going to demolish the school. The
Mm.
school is a historical, it's a historical site. I mean, they called it the Gray Castle. I mean, it's an incredible historical school. I mean, same with Hoover High School. Ted Williams went there. The Boones went there. I mean, we can go on and on and on, yeah, about the legends that have gone to these schools. Like Marcus Allen at Lincoln High School. You got Terrell Davis that went there. You got we and these are our urban city schools that I think are kind of for me, I'm not saying getting lost because, Lincoln High School, their football program's huge. I mean, they've taken state a couple times, but there's just, I think there should be more love. I'll just tell you that much. I think there should be more love to those schools. And where I think it should start? I think it should start at the pro level.
Hmm.
I think, and that's the reason why I'm a Dodgers fan and I'm not a Padres fan. And I was a big Padres fan. But, a lot of it, I think, is PR. I think there could be a lot more that could be done. I'll just put it to you that way, just a lot more. And a lot of fans that I know personally that are fun, they're like, oh, they do a lot. I was like, well, the Dodgers got the Dream Center. The Dodgers, they hand out, I mean, their players, they go out to, South Central and stuff, and they're handing out groceries on a weekly basis. I mean, the year 2020, I don't know if you heard of this, maybe you have, but 2020, when they won that, Disneyland World Series, I mean, some unmarked vans drove up in front of the stadium at night. They didn't know who they were, and they had, gray hoodie sweaters on and stuff like that. And they went out and they put a table and food and they were feeding. The people were trying to see who it was, and it was the Dodgers. They didn't want any type of, I mean, they could have went out, got plastered, and went to Disneyland, whatever. And they're like, that's Mookie Betts. And they're handing food out to the homeless. I mean, that was the Padres of the 90s,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, that was, and yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Tony Gwynn was the last one to win the Roberto Clemente Award in 1993, you know? So,
Yeah. So I think there's more need of that. I think, I go with the kids that I took the kids to the Twins today, and you see them eyes open wide and they're seeing the ball players, and they go in to their office. It's cool to have them come to the kids, do high school day or something, and just kind of really mentor these kids to, like I said, one day they might be the ones on the other side of the fence, but they won't only get there unless they believe, and it's just a two-way street.
Right.
So I want to touch on this one question, kind of the last question of the show. You mentioned to me about your grandfather.
Mhm.
Okay, so Willie Davis,
Yeah.
Los Angeles Dodgers. So I looked him up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but two-time All-Star,
Yeah.
three-time Gold Glove winner, played 18 years in MLB.
Right.
That is like superstar status in your family, among other people that you mentioned that were part of your family. Did you have a relationship with him? Did he
No,
influence you at all in the game?
no. So it was interesting. So we've talked about it. So what's interesting is, so my uncle Eric is my dad's half brother.
Okay,
So my dad raised my uncle Eric.
okay.
My uncle Eric one day, uh, he's on 23andMe and he's on Ancestry.com. And then all of a sudden he sees Willie Davis in his lineage. And he's like, what's going on here? And so he asked my dad, he goes, hey, is Willie Davis our dad? And he goes, I've seen him around the house. And he used to come over to see mom, but I didn't really think much of it, and so long story short, that's how we found out. My uncle Eric Anthony, switched his name to Eric Anthony Davis. We questioned my grandmother passed away last week. Some of my family's from Houston, Texas, from Sugar Land, so she passed away. She was an amazing soul. And so I'm flying out in March to go bury her March 1st. But yeah, so she admitted to it. She was like, yeah, Willie Davis, we had a relationship. And it was funny because when I met Reggie Smith, so I went up to Encino and I met Reggie Smith and I told Reggie Smith, kind of the story. And he told his buddies, he was like, hey guys, you know who this is? This is Willie Davis's like grandson. And he goes, and they go, wait, Willie Davis? No, wait, is Joe his grandma? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, Joe? I was like, hey man, I don't want to hear anything else. All right. Let's just get to baseball. All right.
But it's amazing where the lineage still, the baseball love of the game kind of followed through. You might have not known him,
Yeah.
but that bloodline of baseball just went through the family and continues to go through the family. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Baseball's truly amazing sport. I love it. I love everything about it. It's chess man's game. It's just chess in motion.
I was, like I said, I was watching a training, spin training today, and guys are throwing they're warming up pitching, and I'm like, split second to hit that baseball. Split second. There's no way, if you're not ready for that baseball, they'll fly by you. There's no other sport that's hard as baseball. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like opportunity. Split second, it'll go by you unless you seize it.
Yeah.
So I got one more question. We've covered your coaching extensively, I think, here.
Mhm.
And I was wondering what advice you would have for anyone who wants to get into coaching. The do's, the don'ts. Obviously, I don't think most people are going to try to go to the levels that you go to in terms of coaching as many teams. But if someone were curious as to what makes a good coach or what advice you would give them, what would you say?
First thing I would say is it's not about you. I'd say this position is nothing about you and everything about that individual. Everything about developing that young mind and understanding. If you don't understand the ranks of how to develop a human, then you shouldn't get into coaching. I believe that all coaches should start on the lowest level they can and work their way up. And that's what I did. Work a little league, work T-ball, work your way up. Because I think so many people want the clout of coaching. They want all the accolades and everything like that. But it's not about that. It's not. And I see a lot of coaches that are like that. They're about themselves and they're about the organization, and they forget about the athlete. They forget about the kids. They forget about just making a mark. And I think a lot of people get lost in that. I think parents get lost in that. They don't truly understand who the mentor is in front of them. And then there's this endless cycle in society of things that, like you and I will see and we'll like, where in your mind would you think that's normal? Well, I think it derives from the lower level. So, I mean, I'd really do some self-searching. If you want to get into coaching, you really got to you really have to Like, is this something you really want? It's a lifestyle. Some people are like, oh, you take your cap off and you go home and take your cap off. No, I'm still coaching when I go home. I'm coaching my kids. And it's not like, yes, it's a different level because I'm a dad too. It's not like, hey, you got to do, no, it's not like that. Hey, I really like that you understand the word integrity. What does integrity mean, Solomon? Oh, it means, doing everything right. No one's, or, stuff like that. Like, I'm like, absolutely. Can you read that on the refrigerator for me? And they're reading it and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, that's coaching, and so, yeah, that's what the advice I would say. Be a chameleon.
Mm.
Don't be a cookie cutter coach. Cookie cutter coaches are not good in baseball. Everyone has a different thumbprint. Everyone has a different personality type. Meet them where they're at. Understand if you have life experience, you're going to be a great coach. I don't understand players that are right out of college or whatever that go right into coaching, a travel ball. The parents pay them $450 in San Diego. They're paying them $450 a month. And it's like, what is this young kid teaching teaching this young child? Like there's no, okay, he was a player. There's a different grind. Player and coaching it's a different player resume is great. That's great. He played whatever. But I mean, I've coached with guys that were, I'm talking legends, and I can mention their names, but I don't want to. Legends because we have a frozen ropes in California too, just like you guys have on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the legends work there. And I've listened to them coach, and I'm like, man, you were a GM and whatever, and you're still like, a senior advisor for this professional team. I was like, you should not be coaching like at all. Like, yeah, but yeah. So I mean, that's what I would, yeah, that's what I would tell them. Coaching is amazing. Yeah.
You touched on one thing, which is I 100% agree with everything you're saying. I felt the same way when I coach, is that I'm making a difference in these kids' lives, and the one reward you get is when they come back years later, and they don't say Mr. Condi, they don't say Chris's dad, hey coach, how you doing? Thank you for what you did for me. Thank you for believing in me. Because look, I'm playing high school baseball now. I'm going to college now, and I'm doing this. That to me is like the greatest reward. Like I did something in this kid's life and maybe the team I coached they didn't win anything, but I won because his life is better for whatever reason. For whatever I did for him, it instilled something in him. So I 100% agree with that. It's the greatest reward. And people tell me all the time, you don't want to win? Yeah, everybody wants to win, but you win a trophy for a weekend and then, that's it. And then you move on to another team it's just a reward and then also watching the development. When you see a young kid and he doesn't think he's good enough, and then you see him do something great on the field, and then that smile ear to ear, and it's like that one accomplishment, that to me is like, it floors me every time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like you have a natural like high, like you get done with a good practice and you're driving home and you're just like, wow, I wouldn't even feel like it was me talking. I was just like, it was just, and you see the smiles and you see the kids thanking you and the kids. I mean, it's all my coaches except for one and one of my high school program, they were all my players. So they're all in their 20s now. Yeah, they're all in their 20s now. They're older. One of my coaches, he's my head JV coach. He graduated high school with a 2.2, and now he's in his fifth year of med school. He's one more year to go, and he's going to be a PhD. He's going to be a doctor. And for me, that's a home run. Yeah, that's a home run. I know.
Well, David, this has been once again, I'm gonna tell you, this is our 82nd episode. I'm not gonna lie, we've done 82 amazing journey stories. I mean, your story, sharing it, how we met just by chance on Facebook. I just had a feeling, and we got talking on the phone and wanted to share the story, and still gonna be connected. I mean, you're part of the LOD family now. We want to know everything that's gonna happen with all your teams and moving forward, and really want to be a part of that. But we really thank you for coming on the show today and really sharing your story and hopefully inspiring the next person to coach 4 teams at one time.
Actually, it's more, but travel ball, there's multiple. No, I'm just kidding. So hey, I just want to say thank you both for having me on here. It is truly an honor. And, when I say that, I'm not just, that's not just a word, a pet word I'm using, but I just want to thank you guys for everything that you guys do, getting stories out. You guys are amazing. So I thank you for what you guys do. Truly.
Appreciate that. Well, for anybody else that wants to know more of maybe the first time on the West Coast, because this is the first time we've done a West Coast show, and I forgot to mention 3 hours. What do you, Central Time, Aaron?
Yep.
Central Time and Eastern Time. So we got 3 different time zones for the first time ever on LOD. But we have our YouTube page, we have our Facebook page, we have our website. You can link it all together, and then Dave will get all your links to all your stuff you're doing as well to share it out there to everybody. But I want to just once again thank you for being on the show and signing off on episode 82 of the Legends on Deck podcast.
Thank you.